وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. In the name of God, the ever-merciful, the all-compassionate, by the fig and by the olive, by Mount Sinai, by this safe town, we created man in the finest state, then reduced him to the lowest of the low, except those who believe and do good deeds. They will have an everlasting reward. So what makes you deny the judgment? Is not God the fairest of all judges? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. In the name of God, the ever-merciful, the all-compassionate, by the fig and by the olive, by Mount Sinai, by this safe town, we created man in the finest state, then reduced him to the lowest of the low, except those who believe and do good deeds. They will have an everlasting reward. So what makes you deny the judgment? Is not God the fairest of all judges?
I love you. 3 words that changed my life. Let me explain. When I was 22 years old, I was getting ready for the most important presentation of my life. You see, at that time, I was working at my dream job, General Mills, home of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Cocoa Puffs. I loved it. But here's the thing. After 6 months at General Mills, every employee had to have a meeting with Don Mulligan. Dun, dun, dun. Don Mulligan was the head boss man at General Mills, and he alone had the power to decide whether you were in, meaning you had a job, or whether you were out, meaning you had to go find somewhere else to work. Now, when I was 22 years old, I was getting ready to meet Don for the first time, and I had never met him before. I had just heard what people said. They said that he was 7 feet tall. They said that while everyone as kids were busy playing tag and going to recess, he was busy working on his CPA. That sometimes when he would be talking with somebody, he would chew them up and spit them out. I was scared. I wanted this to go well. I wanted to have a job there. I loved that company. So I remember when I was getting ready to go to that presentation, I was driving in my car towards the office. And when I got to the office, I was so scared that I ended up driving around the office 3 times. And then when I finally parked and I left the car, I noticed that my hands were just so sweaty and that my throat was getting really dry and that my lips were getting coarse, and that in the back of my mind I was just thinking, Amin, I'm scared. Now in that moment, right before I was about to go into Don Mulligan's office, my phone buzzed. I looked at it. There was a voicemail. My mom had left me a message. I opened it up and I put my ear next to the phone, and it was my mom in her soothing voice. She said, Amin, I love you, my baby. No matter what happens, I want you to know I love you. And when she said that, something incredible happened. All of the tension in my body, all of my concern and fear vanished. I went into that meeting and I presented. Now I'm sure you're wondering, Amin, how did it go? Well, turns out not very good. I'm here after all at Noor Kids, aren't I? No, I'm totally kidding. No, alhamdulillah. The meeting went really, really well. And alhamdulillah, I had a wonderful career there before I started working and doing Noor Kids. Now, the reason why I say that is because on that day, when my mom left me that voicemail, I began to appreciate the power of words. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to this special event in which we are going to be discussing the power of words. Now, before I go into the program today, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Amin Asr, and I am the author of Noor Kids. What is Noor Kids, you asked? Well, I'm glad you asked. Noor Kids is a series in which every month families receive a brand new book delivered directly to their home. Books like, let's see what we've got here. We've got The Dark Whisper, and In God We Trust, and Out of Control, and No More Mr. Badmouth, and Take the High Road, and My Country and My People, and so many more. The way Noor Kids works is it's an akhlaq building program. It's designed to help build character. It means to be a good human being, and every month you get a new book delivered directly to your home. Right now at noorkids.com, you can try it for just $1. Not only will you love it, but you also support us so we can continue doing this great work. Now with that, I want to move forward. You see, I know that many families are home right now, and because you are home, it means that sometimes people can say some stuff. Say some stuff that they maybe don't mean, but can really hurt people's feelings. And so today, I wanted to talk about the power of speech. Because ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, speech has a great deal of power, just like I illustrated in that very first story. Now, in order for me to demonstrate this, I am going to be reading out of one of our books called No More Mr. Badmouth. Now, without further ado, allow us to get started. Now, every one of our books has 2 stories in it. I am going to be reading one story called Think before you speak. Now, in this story, we'll be talking about two characters, Amin and Asad. They live in a city called Maple Grove, and they go to a school called Northport Elementary. Let me just first introduce you to Amin. If you've never watched Noor Kids before, Amin is a sports star. He loves baseball and soccer and football. He's got an older brother in college named Hasib, and the one thing about Amin is sometimes he does stuff without thinking about it. Because of that, he gets into trouble. Then there is Asad. Asad is a scientist. He loves to break things apart just to figure out how to put them back together again. And he's got a little baby sister named Yusra. So that's Amin, that's Asad. Those are the two in the story. And inshallah, we'll get started. But you have to say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Hey, did you say it? Did you? All right, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amin and Asad want to surprise Sheikh Tahir with birdhouses for the red cardinals that live behind the masjid. I'm gonna beat you, says Amin. Woodwork is never a race, says Asad. That's what slowpokes say, said Amin. Amin, you're too much, says Asad. Yeah, too fast, right? Asad opens his notebook and sets it on the table. My dad always says to measure twice and cut once. Otherwise, you'll make an epic mistake. Psh! I don't make mistakes, says Amin. By the way, if you've not heard that before, measure twice, cut once. It's a really interesting thing. It means before you cut something, you should measure it twice so you don't make any mistakes. What's that? Asks Amin. This is a blueprint, says Asad. Well, it doesn't look blue, says Amin. Asad is annoyed. It's a plan. I spent time thinking about what I want my birdhouse to look like. Then I drew it out. And it looks just like that. Do you see that? It's called a blueprint. Oh, says Amin. Asad looks at Amin's disorganized pile of supplies. Don't you have one? Asks Asad. Nah, I don't need it. Making a birdhouse can't be that tough, says Amin. I'll wing it. Amin giggles out of control. Get it, Asad? Wing it. Wing it because it's like a birdhouse. They're making a birdhouse, and he said, I'll wing it. Because a bird has a wing. You see? You get it? You get the joke? All right. Very funny, Amin. This is serious business. The cardinals need a place to keep them warm. Winter's almost here, says Asad. The room fills with the banging of hammers, screeching of saws, and chipping of handheld chisels. Scree. Can you see that? He's using the saw. Amin holds up two pieces of different sizes. Whoops. Oh, well, I can make them fit, thinks Amin. Amin hammers the pieces furiously. Bang, 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 bang. Asad uses clamps to hold the sides of his birdhouse together. Asad begins thinking to himself, while the glue dries, I can make the bookshelf. The room fills with the haze of dust. Both announce at the same time, done, done. They first look at Asad's birdhouse. Wow, there's even a little bed in there, Amin says. Yeah, and of course a bookshelf. Every house should have at least one bookshelf. Hey, maybe you can redo my room after this, says Amin. Amin holds Asad's birdhouse out to admire it. Sheikh Tahir he'll love this, says Amin. Asad blushes. Thanks, Amin. Inshallah. Okay, let's look at yours, Amin. Well, says Amin. Amin moves out of the way. Amin cringes. I had a few problems with the saw. I had a few problems with the saw. Do you see that? Do you see that birdhouse? Oh man. So why do you think Amin's birdhouse looks like that? Right? Asad's birdhouse on top, it looks amazing. It looks beautiful. It's perfect. Why does Amin's birdhouse look like that? Well, it's probably because Asad had a plan. Asad had a blueprint. He took it step by step, but Amin, he did it willy-nilly. He didn't even think. He just acted. Now, which house would you rather live in? Of course, we'd rather live in this one. We'd rather live in a house that's beautiful, a house that's purposeful, not a house that's dilapidated and about to break apart. Why did Asad's birdhouse turn out so well? Well, it's because he had a plan. He thought about it. All right, let's see what happens next. So, is this supposed to be a place where birds come to live? Or is this a place where they come to die? Asad asks. I guess you're right, Asad says Amin. I should have thought this through. Amin and Asad head to masjid for Maghrib prayer with their finished projects. Sheikh Tahir enters the masjid. Amin runs to greet him. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Tahir. Guess what? Asad and I built surprise birdhouses for you. Oh, says Asad. Amin, can you come here? I want to talk with you. What's wrong? Says Amin. Amin, this was supposed to be a surprise. Come on, man. You ruined it. Remember? These are surprise birdhouses. Asad sits down on the ground and holds his face in his hands. You ruined everything, says Asad. So here's the thing, did Amin do something wrong? Yeah. It was supposed to be a secret. They weren't supposed to give it just right away. But Amin couldn't control himself. In the same way that Amin didn't think before he had made his birdhouse, Amin didn't think before he spoke to Sheikh Tahir. Amin didn't think before he spoke. Sheikh Tahir gets involved. Boys, I appreciate the kind gesture here, but Sheikh Tahir picks up Amin's birdhouse. Now, who is the proud maker of this birdhouse? Amin reluctantly raises his hands. I suspected that, says Sheikh Tahir. You see, Amin, in the same way that we need to create a blueprint before we build something, we also need to think before we speak. Otherwise, Sheikh Tahir sets the Amin's creation down. Otherwise, says Sheikh Tahir. Otherwise what? Says Amin. Otherwise, you end up creating something like this. The three laugh. Just goes to show you, says Amin, if you don't think before you beak, you could foul things up. So, okay, that's a play on words, because a beak is like a bird's beak, and a fowl, it's like a type of a bird, right? So if you don't think before you beak, you could foul things up, and they were doing like a birdhouse. So you see as Amin says, get it, Asad? Asad laughs. Some things never change. Bum ba dum. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to talk through this for a moment. You see, right now at our homes, we are with our mom or our dad or our brother or our sister, and because we're all together, there may be times when we feel an urge, feel a wantingness, like it's on the tip of our tongues to say something mean, to do something that we want to do. But just like Amin in this story should have thought about it, right? Just like before building a treehouse, in order to be successful, we need to build a blueprint. Similarly, before we speak, we need to think. Because if we don't think before we speak, we end up creating something that could be ugly, could be disastrous, could be the type of birdhouse that Amin created, where birds don't come to live. No, they come to die. Wah, wah, wah. And so I encourage you, as we are home on these days, especially with our family, whether it be with our mom or our dad, whether it be with our brother or our sister or our friend, we are all together in close quarters, and we might feel a desire to just let loose, to say something mean. But I'm asking you today not to. I'm asking you to think before you speak. Now, there's another story about thinking before we speak, and I just want to share it real quick. This is a little bit about rumors. You see, once upon a time, there was an old man who lived next to a young boy, and that old man, he was senile, and he was mean, and he wanted this young boy to go to jail. So he started spreading rumors about him. Things that weren't true. He'd go to different people and be like, "Psst, did you hear about that boy next door? He's a bad guy." He'd go to other people like, "Psst, did you hear about the boy next door?" And he went on and on and on and on until one day the police came. They took away that boy. That boy went to jail. And when he went to jail and he met the judge, that boy talked to the judge and he says, "I haven't done anything wrong. These have just been rumors. These are things that somebody else said about me." The judge says, "Who was that man? Who was that man that said those things about you?" And he says, "It was that older gentleman. It was that older man." And so the judge brought that man into him and he says, "Sir," and he was an old man, so he says, "Sir, what is this that I heard that you were saying mean things about this boy?" And the old man says, "Yeah, I said a couple things here and there. It really didn't hurt anybody." He said, okay. He says, "This is what I want you to do. I want you on a piece of paper to write down each and every single thing that you wrote down about that boy. All right? I want you to write down each and every single thing that you wrote, that you said about that boy. I want you to write it on a piece of paper." And the man did it. And he says, "Okay." Now the judge tells the man, "I want you to rip it up into small pieces." And the man said, "Okay." And he says, "Okay." The judge says, "On your way home, I want you to take this paper and I want you to throw it out the window. After you do that, tomorrow I want you to come back and I'll tell you what we're going to do." And the old man says, "Okay." So the old man goes home. He takes that paper that's been ripped up. He throws it out the window. He goes home. The next day, he goes back to the judge and he says to the judge, "Judge, I did exactly what you told me to do. I took that paper on which I had written all of the bad things that I said about the boy. I tore it up and I threw it out the window. Now what do you want to do?" The judge looks at him and he says, "Look, I am going to let you go under one condition." Old man says, "What's that?" He says, "I want you to find every one of those pieces of paper. I want you to gather every single piece. And once you do, I'll let you go free." The old man looks at the judge and he says, "Well, that's impossible. That's impossible. I tore them into small pieces. I scattered them yesterday. They're probably anywhere by now." And the judge says, "See, that is precisely it. When we say something bad about somebody, especially when they are not there, when we backbite and spread a rumor about somebody, well, what happens? That rumor can take on a life of its own. Those bad things that you said can go all around the world, and there is no way for you to take it back." So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today I wanted to share two important lessons with you. The first important lesson was this: as we are home, let us think before we speak. And number two, most of us are home anyway, so we don't have the opportunity to speak with other people, but I know that you have the ability to chat on your computer. I know that some of you who are older have the ability to text message. Some of you who are even older than that have the ability to go online and talk to people and things like that. I want you to always remember, never spread a rumor about anybody, and always think before you speak. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to thank you for joining me today. Now, yesterday I put out a word of asking for assistance, and alhamdulillah, we had a number of people who reached out. And so if you have not gotten an email from me yet, I will be emailing you, inshallah, shortly, because we are putting together our challenges. Today is the final day to submit the challenges for the first week of our Ramadan challenges. And by the way, if you are not on our if you do not have access to our course website, you can gain access to it. Oh man, this is funny. But you can gain access to it, so that way you can see our animated Quran as well as our challenges. All you have to do is go to noorkids.com/Ramadan to sign up. Today is the final day of our week 1 challenges, because today is the 7th of Ramadan. Get in your challenges. Inshallah, tomorrow we will be opening up our week 2 challenges, which include your favorite family iftar, Allahu Akbar, creating a personal sadaqah jar, and of course, backed by popular demand, our Muslim dad jokes. And so inshallah, tomorrow I'm going to be sharing five, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of never before heard Muslim dad jokes. With that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we will see you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Oops, I'm still on. Oh, hey, there was 2 more announcements that I had to make that I forgot to make, and the screen is telling me to make. Number 1 is an announcement that Fazila has told me to tell you. If you're not following us on YouTube, do check us out on YouTube. We've got a bunch of amazing videos there, so subscribe. And then finally, if you are not a member of Noor Kids, and if you would benefit from our work, please do consider checking it out at noorkids.com, where you can sign up for just $1. With that, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.